My name is Queen Wasabi, analytico sa umaga, gamer sa gabi, podcaster in between. I am your resident life, love, and sex podmate. How is everyone doing? It has been a busy week for me. Very productive at crazy at the same time. And while you guys are here, I'm not sure if you guys have listened to last week's episode. I did an episode about opening up the idea of having sex first before relationship, and I've gotten crazy reactions and crazy emotions. Some of them were violent, which is pretty understandable. So, hindi ko na patatagalin masyado. You guys listen to that last episode. It's on Spotify. Today, we're gonna be talking about emotions. Ako, emotional ako. So, I can talk about my feelings. I can talk about my emotions the whole day. Like, bigyan mo ako ng isang buong araw, magsasalita lang ako about my emotions. But this time around, we want to do it a little bit differently. We want to do it, paano ba? Medyo masyado ng laging pinag-uusapan ang emotion nating mga babae. Alright? This time around, we want to talk about men's emotions. Yung emosyon ng mga kalalakihan. Ayan. And for this episode, I've invited a couple of special guests. I wanted to make this special. Huwag na natin patagalin. So, let me just introduce to you. He is a former chief gaming officer and creative director from Tier 1 Entertainment. He was also in Fnatic, Dota 2 Fnatic. He was the team performance coach and regional director. And he is now the founder of, podcast production, right? Called Spectator. Mr. Bago, how are you?
Hello. Doing good,
Thank you.
good.
Thank you for being here.
We'll just say na I am not the co-host.
Ayaw niya pumayag na siya yung co-host. Alright. And, of course, we also have Chris Bacula. He is a trainer at Anytime Fitness, but he is also a co-host of the Sausawan podcast along with Comics Man. Tama?
Tama.
Alright. Welcome, guys.
Thank you,
Thank you guys for being here. Grabe.
Thank
I
you.
know. For those guys who are listening, for you guys' information, it's already 10 p.m. Like I said earlier, it's a crazy day, it's a crazy week. This is the only time we can get para mag-recording. Now, before we start, I just want to give a quick shout out to those who responded to my casting call. Grabe. Akala ko talaga when you do, by the way, my casting call is titled Looking for Emotional Men. Right?
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, so I was surprised. I was surprised because I didn't realize. Akala ko kasi talaga walang magre-respond, walang magme-message, walang magko-comment,
Yung magre-respond mga para ako, yung mga parang tipong pagising ng umaga, yung almusal nila, kutsilyo, yung mga ganun, mga like really manly men, di ba?
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that a lot of men wants to,
Admit to? You mean?
admit. Yeah, exactly. But I was really surprised when I received a lot of responses. I received a lot of DMs about the episode. I am so sorry. I hope next time we can do another episode about this. I know you guys wants to share a lot of things. Nakakagulat because it's about emotions.
So I have a question. Pag nagpa-casting call ka ng emotional men, what's the screening process like?
Normally, I would interview them first unless I already have a background. Hindi na kita in-interview, diba? Meron akong background about you guys. That means that if you guys have a podcast, I probably already listened to your podcast, so medyo na-profile ko na siya.
Right, I
Right?
see. Ngayon, parang
Chris, when
parang ano eh.
What?
No, it's
My screening
it's
process.
Interesting. Yeah, di ba? Parang
It is.
people share about, their emotional life. That's interesting. Like, nilagay ba nila yun sa ano? Di ba, yun nga eh, parang therapist.
Parang ang hirap nun, yung lahat ng negativity, ma-absorb mo, tapos ikaw magiging
Yeah.
negative ka
Tsaka
naman.
you're basically going to be vulnerable for wala lang. Bro.
Parang human
Parang,
punching bag.
oh.
Well, I mean, when it's not, I don't wanna be asking them naman to like dump all their emotions on me. I won't be able to take it. I'm also emotional. Ano talang mangyayari
Right,
sa
right.
amin, no? So, like, I guess, if this is something that people would actually appreciate, and we feel like this is something that people wants to talk about, I'd probably be able to actually create a series about this. But to start off this discussion, syempre, I want to talk to people who might actually have some really valuable takes on about men's emotions, not necessary. Well, unless you guys want to dump some really big, heavy
All
emotions
right,
on
let's
me.
go
I mean,
talk
I'm not gonna
about
stop.
let's go talk about problems for like the next hour and a half.
Yan.
Let's go.
Okay, I wasn't ready for that. That wasn't what I had in mind. But okay, ginusto ko to. Okay, let's start off. Chris, let me start with you. I just have a question for you, I guess. When I told you about the topic, I asked you and I told you about the topic, that what we're gonna be talking about today. Anong iniisip mo? Ano yung una mong naisip and maybe naramdaman or naisip about the topic that I gave you?
Actually, hindi ko nabasa yung topic eh. Parang wala akong idea talaga. Sorry. Kasi busy ako sa
Grabe.
gym eh. Sunod yung clients ko eh. Parang after ng isa, may isa na naman, tapos may isang magka-cancel, tapos isasingit ko yung isa. Wala tayong idea, pero based dun sa intro mo, medyo nagigets ko yung topic, diba? Tama ba? I can assume na yung about men and how they handle their emotions, tama ba yun?
Well,
Ano ba yun?
in general, not really following any certain format or how, like paano ba mag-handle ng emotion or ano bang klaseng emotion meron kayong guys, 'di ba? Basically, I just wanna kind of like understand exactly, 'di ba? Understand exactly ano yung pinagdadaanan nyo. Or
Oh.
paano bang
So,
difference, parang ganun.
Sa akin kasi
Yeah.
depende kung anong type of man siya eh. Kung ano yung role niya sa society. Kasi, like for example, may mga men who are yung mga padre de pamilya, husbands, ba, boyfriends. May mga men naman na single. So kung emotion-wise, as a breadwinner or yung parang haligi ng tahanan, hindi ka dapat magpakita ng mahina ka eh. And minsan, yung emotional men, nakadikit dun yung weakness eh. Especially pag leader ka ng isang company or isang pack or isang samahan, di ba? Ayaw mo makikita na weak ka eh. Kahit na hindi ka siguro lalaki, kahit siguro babae ka. Pero syempre pag lalaki, parang unforgiving yung society sa'yo. Magpapakita ka ng weakness eh. Pero kung single ka naman na lalaki, parang may mga lalaki yung single na very open sila to cry. Diba on point, parang pwede sila mag-artista. Diba? Parang luha kagad sa left eye.
yung parang Viva
So,
Films,
depende
yung
kung ano yung role ng
the
man,
single
specific
tier.
man na yan.
All right, so
Yun
you
ang
mentioned
isip ko.
about society's expectation. Right? So I think and of course, before I came in and did this episode, I did my, my research, and one of the biggest factors talaga when it comes to yung nagde-determine kung bakit emotional yung mga lalaki or hindi sila makapag-show ng emotion is social impact. Right? Do you guys agree with that?
I think so.
In what sense yung social
Well,
impact?
like what you social expectations rather. Social
Yung role.
expectations.
Oo.
Yes,
Sa akin kasi
just
depends
what you
sa role
mentioned
niya
eh.
sa society eh.
So you're saying that if, for example, I'm a guy, I'm single now, and I'm emotional, I cry, konting may maramdaman lang akong emotions na medyo heavy, I cry. And then for some reason my role in society changed. You're saying
Yes.
that the
May
the
nakadip.
the emotion, yung paano pag-handle ng emotion will also change.
You tend to to be self-aware siguro and learn to control that emotion. Kung meron kang may mga nakadepende sa or meron kang mabigat na role na either sa company or sa family, 'di ba?
Mhm. Yeah,
So dun dun
I think I
nag-iiba
can agree
ngayon
with
yung
that.
perspective eh.
Yeah. Are you guys, would you guys share with me if have you guys ever been or right now emotional?
Or like right now or parang something that happened recently sa amin?
Well, no, I mean like hindi kasi I'm not talking about just a particular scenario eh. I'm not talking about a particular scenario. I'm talking about in general. Are you right now or have ever been emotional? Like
Um, I would say
I
yes.
guess
Yeah,
you
I would say
have, you
yes.
have.
Oh, kasi ano siya eh, like, ako kasi yung perspective ko, when it comes to men and their emotions. I tend to look at emotions not as something na, kumbaga it's just part of being a person. Gets mo? Parang,
Right, right.
yes, there's social expectation. And there are some, parang ano lang siya, kumbaga may appropriate use or hindi naman use siguro parang may appropriate outlet or may appropriate timing when you're emotional. Pero obviously you're gonna get emotional. I come
Yeah.
from a background of competition, 'di ba? You were so I'm just gonna use my experiences. Like you're competing for $40 million and then you lose. If you're not going to get emotional, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Get mo?
Yeah.
I
No, no,
don't
no.
believe
I
you.
get that.
Di ba? Talo ka, di ba? Parang one game away from like the championship, talo ka, you're going to get emotional. And if you don't, that's actually going to be a problem for
There
you
might actually
later
be
on.
a problem about
No,
you. Like
that's going to be a problem for you specifically. Kasi pag hindi mo, alam mo yun, parang there are, ano eh, like even throughout our history as a species, di ba? You've had ballads of warriors crying on the battlefield. Of course, that's emotion. Di
yeah.
ba? It's emotion. Di ba? Even for CEOs, di ba? I get, ano eh, tama yung ano eh. I think I agree yung sinabi ni Chris na if you have a role, however, where you are, especially when it's a leadership role, right? Sa leadership role kasi, I think it's less about showing weakness. There are times lang that as a leader, you are called upon to provide stability to other people. Diba? You're called upon to be parang, alam mo yun, parang ang gulo na ng lahat. Oh no. Let's use,
Iiyak. Or
oh, diba?
presidente ka ng Pilipinas, 'di ba? Tapos parang hindi ko na kaya to yung Kingdom of Jesus Christ kasi ayos sumuko ni Kibuloy.
Oh, 'di ba? May mga ano eh, like there are times na if you're in a leadership role, you are called upon to provide that stability. Then yeah. Pero ano eh, meron kasing fine line din eh na parang sometimes when you're also the CEO, actually what drives good leadership is showing vulnerability.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
pag
agree.
sinabi mo sa okay, let's say CEO ka, may boardroom ka. Diba? You tell your boardroom parang hey, the next quarter is going to be very difficult for us, kulang tayo ng runway, etc. Nag-change yung market or whatever. Ganun. And then you become as a leader, you're vulnerable. You show it off na sabi mo, mahirap tong gagawin natin, I'm going to need your help. Diba? You don't necessarily
Tsaka
have to cry. You don't necessarily have to
Yeah.
cry.
Yeah,
But that's
yeah.
emotion.
um,
Diba?
tsaka
But that's
eh,
emotion.
minsan may form of manipulation in a way din kasi parang when you say men in general aren't emotional, may mga ilang lalaki na ginagamit naman yung emotion to manipulate. So, di mo masasabi talaga kung legit yung emotions eh. Like yung sinasabi ni Pao sa company. Parang strategic use of emotions
Mhm.
para makuha mo yung loob ng gusto mong makuha. Alam mo yun? May ganun eh. Tapos meron namang mga tao, very self-aware lang siya about his emotions. So, he knows when to show it. And usually, pinapakita niya yun sa mga trusted friends.
Yeah.
Diba?
Oh. And I also think there's parang this is different manifestations of it basically. 'Di ba? Parang Yun nga, like, again, let's say, ako, yun, I have a background in competitive video games. I have a background in competitive sports. Di ba?
Yeah.
You're watching a tennis final. Di ba? Ito, ano lang, Andy Murray, one of my favorite tennis players of all time, retired. Di ba? So, nanood ako nung mga highlights niya. Nanood ako ng mga highlights niya nung nag-two-time Olympic champion siya, Wimbledon, etc. And then, napanood ko, parang there was kasi nag-autoplay lang yung YouTube ko eh. And then, nakita ko yung tournament where he had to leave because he got injured. Took him out of the competition for about 2 years. Doon ako
Right.
para sabi ko, ina, my
Damn.
God. Alam mo yun, damn, di ba? There's stuff like that, di ba? That's emotion. I didn't necessarily cry, but I felt it here. I felt
Sa
it
Right,
here.
UFC,
right,
di ba,
right.
pag nanonood ka ng fight, no?
And I
Parang,
think
wow.
I think that's the thing, right? When we talk about being emotional or feeling emotions, somehow it's always tied to crying.
I don't think, yun nga,
Emotions,
like, I don't think it's
right?
always
Can be
crying.
anger,
Exactly.
Yes,
fear.
anger.
Hindi sila nanood ng Inside
Oo.
Out.
Yeah, anger is an emotion I understand very well. Di ba?
Insecurity.
Oh, yun.
Right, right. So,
Doubt.
so
Diba?
you know,
Parang doubting
I
yourself.
I guess that's kind of where I want to take this conversation. Um, it's kasi apart from kasi that you guys are right. Like there's walang taong walang emosyon. Kahit pa sabihin mo gaano ka katigas yung tao na yan, gaano ka manhid yung tao na yan, everyone will have emotion. That's basically our, yung structure natin eh. Doon tayo umiikot, di ba? Sa emotions natin as people. Babae, lalaki. It's just that. Because of all these factors that's, causing bakit different yung emotions between men and women. It's just that how men and women does things, daily life, reaction, problem solving is so different because of the kind of emotion.
Yeah. I think yun yung common na meme, di ba? Na parang when women talk about a problem. And again, I'm saying this as a meme, ha? Di ba? Yung common na meme is when women talk about a problem, they just want you to listen. But when you tell it to a guy, to a man, their first instinct is to solve it. It's to come with like a
Exactly.
solution.
Exactly.
Solution.
And
Yeah.
Pao, I remember this. This is something that I remember so well. And one time we were on a call and I was like devastated. I was going through something and I was gonna tell you, and you told me, "Do you want me to just listen to you?"
We want to fix something.
Yeah, or do you want me to say something about it? Do you want to hear my thoughts about what you're gonna tell me? So bago tayo nag-start mag-usap, you already set the premise of the
That's something I had to
expectations.
learn. That's something I had to learn, right? Kasi that's something na ako I realized that was different. Ako, I'm blessed that my partner right now parang no, when she comes to me with a problem, she's also asking for my insight. Diba? Pero over time I had to learn that I'm 35 now. I had to learn na parang and actually interestingly enough, what I also found was that hindi siya parang like all women are like this and then all men always want to like hear how you're gonna fix it.
Right. That's
I've
true, that's
also
true.
encountered, especially because I work in an industry where there's a lot of younger people. And I'm surrounded with a lot of like mga Gen Z, Gen Alpha. I've also experienced like a fair share of mga younger guys na parang pag nagkwento sila sa'yo, gusto lang nilang magkwento. Gusto lang nilang mag-vent. Di ba? So sort of learning that na parang, you know what? Rather than miss the cue, I'm just gonna ask. Parang, I'm not gonna guess. I'm not gonna guess when I can be sure. Alam mo yun?
Tama,
Right.
tama
So
yun.
just ask. Just fucking ask.
Parang
Diba?
Socratic yan
Yep.
style.
Oh yeah, no, that's my favorite. Socratic.
Parang
man.
wala kang alam mo. I don't know. Sige, ano yung alam mo.
Oh,
Sabihin mo
diba?
sa akin.
Tatanungin mo lang, and then you sort of let them answer it so that they fix their own problem. Oh yeah, I love that
Nice.
shit.
Yeah, he loves that.
Pero sa'yo,
He's done it so much.
Queen Wasabi.
Use it on me. A lot of times. Go ahead.
Sa'yo, Queen, if I may ask you, di ba when you started the topic on yung men's emotion, sa personal life mo ba, parang naka-encounter ka na ba ng mga lalaki na, di ba, Hindi mo ma-handle
Emotional.
or emotional na parang naging negative towards you being a woman?
I don't think naman negative towards me about me being a woman. No, no, no naman. It's just that from experience, and I've had a lot, men are just, ito yung funny before I answer that. Ito yung funny.
Sige.
Kaming mga babae, and I talked about this on one of my episodes in After Dark. Kaming mga babae, lagi namin problema sa mga lalaki yung, ano ba naman yan, napaka-insensitive. Right? Hindi, parang wala man lang emotions. Ano yan tied yan yung sensitivity nila with their emotions. Right? Napaka-insensitive. Wala man lang emosyon. Hindi mo man lang makita kung ano yung nararamdaman ko. Hindi mo naiintindihan yung feelings ko. Hindi mo naiintindihan yung nararamdaman ko. Hindi mo naiintindihan yung emotions ko. So, that has been our longest problem. And until now
may sagot
problema
ako
siya,
dun.
'di ba?
May
At
sagot ako
least,
dun.
See,
Si Pao may sagot.
I'm fucking old, man. Like, that's my generation. That's my generation. Now,
right.
you fucking see all these younger boys. Ano ba ang tawag sa kanila? Sad boys.
No,
Alam niyo yung term na sad boy?
At ayoko yun. Naiirita
Exactly,
Okay
right?
lang ganyan,
Naiirita
sad boy.
ako sa ganun.
Pero hindi lang sa younger generation yan, ha?
Oh,
Kahit
yeah,
sa
tama.
mga age namin na 40s, marami din ganyan.
I
Usually,
agree.
nasa mga Pegasus yan.
I agree. I agree with Chris. It's not a young
entertainers.
person thing. It's not a young person thing.
Ano kasi, ako from experience kasi, sobrang lala niya with younger men. Yung pa-sad boy talaga, like, what the fuck? We wanted men to be a little bit more sensitive to get
Alam mo
emotional
bakit?
cues.
Alam mo bakit? Because they're just exploiting they're just exploiting a tendency with some women who haven't fully understood also how it is to be, alam mo parang you fully realize yung parang femininity nila, right?
Yeah.
Because there is a tendency, like I'm saying tendency, there's a tendency to look at a man and go, I can fix him.
Well, yeah, that's
Lagi
true.
ganun.
That's true. Lagi
Diba?
naman ganun.
So sad boys go like, I'm so sad.
I need to be
Fix
fixed.
me.
Fix
Diba?
me.
Diba? I'm
Don't
fixable
make
if
me.
somebody yun, diba?
Is
Parang,
willing.
diba? If somebody just took a chance, diba? Ayoko yung ganun. Kasi ako parang, something wrong. How to fix? Ganun ako eh.
Right.
May iniiwasan pa ng babae yung ganun eh. Tapos pag may mga sad boy mag-rant sa social media parang,
Oh my
"Kayo, mga
goodness.
babae ngayon, hindi maintindihan.
Yeah. Lahat
Gusto
ng
kasi nila
babae
may mga
ganito ganyan.
kotse,
Oh.
diba? Kailangan
Yung mga ganun.
executive ka.
Ba't lahat ng babae
Hindi nila
manloloko?
maintindihan na kailangan they should work muna on themselves, di ba?
Di ba?
Right,
Ano yun?
right,
Ako naiirita ako sa ganun kasi parang pinapasa nila yung burden of self-improvement. Yan, hindi siya self-improvement kasi pinasa nila sa ibang tao eh.
Right.
Oo nga.
Pero ako may sagot ako dun sa ano mo kanina. Like, ako kasi ang tingin ko, na parang yung banggit mo, a lot of women, they look around and then they go, kayong mga lalaki, hindi nyo naintindihan yun na namin. And this is coming from personal experience. I've also found kasi, na when you meet someone who has sort of fully embraced yung pagiging lalaki, right? Their masculinity or whatever. And then you meet someone who's also embraced their femininity. Mas madali kayo magkakaintindihan. A lot of it comes down to like figuring out na parang, pareho pala kami ng bottom line, pareho pala kami ng values. Naturally lumalabas eh. Like, naturally lumalabas yung sabihin na nating male tendencies of like being a protector, a provider, or a priest. Ba yun yung tatlo eh. Protector, provider, priest. Three sort of basic expectations for being a guy. It's easier for that to come out once you're really fully in sync with someone. And that person too, yung ka-in sync mo, they're also not healing their own trauma. Gets mo? Kasi when, ano siya eh, for example, and again, I'm not saying you, I'm not singling you out. Pero for example, yung nabanggit mo na parang, ba't kayong mga lalaki ganito, hindi nyo naiintindihan yung emotions namin? I would actually pose the question, are you being defensive or being sort of argumentative because ikaw din fully hindi mo pa napoprocess yung the emotions and trauma mo, and so you're bleeding onto someone else.
That's so true.
Parang hindi ko pa, to you, hindi ko siya naiintindihan kasi galit ka na agad. Kasi hindi mo pa siya naiintindihan yourself. Di ba? So, dun,
Yung thing kasi ngayon, yung thing ngayon sa social media kasi nagiging competition yung dalawang sexes eh. Rather than understanding yung intricate differences between the two, 'di ba? Like for a man, 'di ba, to be masculine and for a female to be feminine, 'di ba? Hindi nila maintindihan. Gusto nila parang hindi dapat kami ganto, dapat kayo ganyan, 'di ba? Naging contest eh, which is dapat hindi.
Yeah, and to me then it's also a matter of, look, if you want to be a certain way, then find a partner who fits that. Kasi parang parang naging expectation. Okay, gusto mo ganito yung parang this is how you want to be. And then you meet someone and then you sort of fully expect them to already understand how you are. Parang
Right.
bakit ganun, 'di ba? Hindi
And quite
dapat ganun,
honestly,
di ba?
echoing what you just said, a while ago, where, and this is something that, I also had to learn about myself, right? When I was younger, like I was really toxic because, like you said, I would just dump everything to the
that's
person
good
that I
on
was
you.
with.
Yeah, that's good on you for realizing that. Diba?
When really, quick example, parang, kumbaga, bad trip ako. Inis ako, bad trip ako for some reason. Hindi natin alam saan nanggagaling. Thing is, hindi ko rin kasi naiintindihan bakit. Right? I also
So, dahil
don't
parang-
know.
And then yung partner mo just breathes in your general direction. Dahil asar ka na,
Right.
siya na yung tinatamaan mo. Diba?
Exactly. Because the thing is that, ikaw yung partner right? Sa'yo talaga yung balik nun, diba? Sa'yo talaga yung
Mas
tama nun.
dominant ka ba na partner?
I am very
Dominant
dominant.
Yon. So minsan hindi na-feel nung lalaki sa partnership nyo na lalaki siya. May ganun bang instances?
A lot of times. I'm very I've been with I've been with a lot of really bad relationships. That's why it's a fucking relationships podcast, right? But a big part of the relationships I had before is that because I was very dominant and I like taking control. But of course, at the same time, I mean, I like taking control, but that doesn't mean that, I do things properly or I treat them right.
May tanong ako. So in
Go
those
ahead.
situations ba, did you also feel na parang, okay, you're very dominant, but then naiinis ka rin na minsan na parang, ba't kailangan ko gawin lahat? Parang ganun.
Oh my God, yes.
Yep, okay.
Hot.
Exactly right.
I get
So
it.
what I learned, what I learned is that kahit
Tapos
anong
pina-micromanage
relationship
mo na
yan,
yung relationship niyo, parang ganun.
yeah. So
Hirap niyan,
of course when I learned, and I didn't have to learn about these guys, I had to understand myself. I had to actually learn about my own emotions. I had to understand why I'm feeling this way, why I'm saying things like this, why I'm thinking this way. And see, the problem goes back to not even just emotions. It goes back to communication. Ito yung sinasabi ng mga tao na yan pala yung nararamdaman mo, bakit di mo sinabi, 'di ba? Unfortunately, di namin sinasabi because again, I also
Ini-expect mo
don't
na alam
understand.
na eh. Oh, yeah.
Right?
And then
I
and then
also
you
don't
expect
understand
someone
what I'm
else to
feeling.
fix it.
Di ba parang more on control? Parang things that you cannot control, parang it ticks you eh. Parang hindi ko dapat ito gawin mo eh. Parang more on control
Parang
yan.
ganon. Yeah. Parang ganon. Pero at the same time kasi, for me, it's so important na hindi ko man masabi right away to my partner anong nararamdaman ko. I don't burden my partner na maintindihan ako. Right? Because ako nga, hindi ko naiintindihan yung sarili ko eh. Quick example, gusto ko lang magpalambing. Wala naman akong problema, gusto ko lang magpalambing. But because
Hindi mo
ko
masabi
feel-
na yun yung gusto
Hindi ko
mo.
masabi. So,
Parang naiinis ka
nagpabad trip
na
ako.
nilalambing at the exact time that gusto ko siya. Ganun, di ba?
Right? Pero hindi ko masabi. Kasi di ko rin naman alam na gusto ko pala ng lambing. Alam ko lang na bad trip ako.
Or
Right.
parang in-expect mo, you figure it out.
You
Parang ganun,
and
you
that's
figure
the
it out.
problem of a lot of women. Like, para sa mga babae, they feel like, dapat alam mo yan, dapat nagigets mo kasi you're supposed to know me.
Ako ito, from my sort of like, from the sort of inner work and on learning that I've had to personally do, one thing na parang natutunan ko rin kasi is, feel free to correct me as the representative. It's also because I think for some women, if they don't feel safe, alam mo yun? Kasi yung parang yung asta din siguro ng some men, because maybe yung partner nila na lalaki din, they haven't really shown that they are that safe space that they can rely on. So they become naturally defensive, they become naturally controlling. Kasi they don't feel safe eh.
I
But
like that.
that's also para sa akin, that's why self-improvement is what I would think should be a goal by everyone. Kasi if a man, if a guy gets to a level where he can master himself, I promise you, mas madaling, it's easier for their partner, for a woman to feel safe around them, na parang hindi na pala kailangan maging mind games. Hindi na pala kailangan maging guessing game or parang read my mind, or I don't have to develop telepathy. Right? Kasi I feel safe around this man, so I can just be myself. I can just, alam mo yung parang feeling na, I see it a lot on TikTok, yung mga parang, yung nare-realize nila, pwede palang ganito yung relationship ko.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Because that's also the result of an emotionally mature. A man who has mastered himself, I tell you, will bring out, diba, the most authentic self of their partner.
Self-awareness lang is the key.
Ganun yun.
And it goes for both sexes, hindi lang
Exactly.
for men, even
Exactly.
women.
I 100% agree with Chris. Same thing happens to a woman. Parang, if you show me a woman who has sort of fully owned and taken accountability para sa sarili nila, it's so much easier to find a man who's like attentive, provider siya, but at the same time, hindi siya yung parang working 14 hours a day and then hindi na kayo nag-uusap.
Right.
Easier to find a guy who's gonna go out there, hunt for resources, come back, spend your free time with you, and then actually be vulnerable and share with you. It's because they can also feel that from you. They also feel safe.
Right.
Tama. Kasi you don't expect anyone to provide yung, kunwari, yung love mo sa buhay mo kulang, right? 60% siya. Tapos kukunin mo yung 40% dun sa magiging, hopefully yung magiging jowa mo na yun, niniligawan. Ang pangit na pag-ibig yun, di ba? Dapat, kailangan 100% pumahal yung sarili mo para in any case na maging jowa mo yung kung sino man yan, edi 200% siya, di ba?
Yes.
Nandyan man siya o wala,
Yeah.
di ba?
Yeah. Yun.
Hello, it's
I love
funny,
that.
and
I love that.
I love the fact that you guys share. We all share the same idea and thoughts about it. I did this. What you said, Chris. I created one whole episode about that because that's something that I really love. I love myself too much, guys. I mean, like I would actually tell this to people, no, na my benchmark for you, your the benchmark that you have to follow for loving me will have to be how I love myself. Kailangan mong pantayan yun or lagpasan yun, so that you can tell me that you actually love me because I love myself.
Let me think
Right?
about that. Wait. Let me think about it.
And see, I love myself so much na ang dami kong excess. Not just to romantic partners, not just to romantic relationships. I have excess to give out.
Ayun, I think so. Kasi parang ang hirap magbigay kung empty yung cup eh. Di ba?
Tama.
Right.
Mahirap talaga. So, I feel like if you don't take accountability for yourself, you get into a relationship, you're going to develop parang defensive traits that ang nagiging ending, that's when you see people sort of like jump from relationship to relationship. Alam mo yun? Kasi parang
Right,
naghahanap,
right.
kunwari, 60% lang sila na tao. Kasi wala eh, they haven't healed their trauma, they haven't taken accountability. So they keep looking in other people for that other 40%.
Right.
Kaya nga.
Whereas if you take accountability, and you might not be 100% agad, but because you're doing that process, the person you meet, na parang makikita mo, wow, because I worked on myself, I actually tried to understand what my bottom line was, what my mistakes were, what I, parang inoon mo yun. Then it's going to be easier for you now to recognize the other people that are actually good for you. Alam mo yung
Right.
may mga
Right.
kaibigan ka na parang palaging may jowa, tapos palaging red flag, tapos palaging magre-reklamo sa'yo after 3 months.
Right. Oh my
Right?
God.
But
Yeah.
then eventually you go like, if I actually took the time and like processed my own emotions and my own baggage and shit, I don't need to fall for the sad boys. Diba? Parang, hindi
That's
pala.
Kung
true. That's true.
60% lang siya, di ba, yung 40% yan, ibubuhos mo yung galit sa jowa. Bakit hindi mo ako minamahal ng ganito?
Oh,
Ba't
ganun.
minamahal mo ako
Magko-compare
eh?
ka. Magko-compare
Di
ka sa
ba?
iba.
Kasi
And
kukunin
then,
mo sa kanya yun eh.
oh.
Magde-demand ka nun eh.
Pero maganda yung I love yung sinabi ni Chris eh. When you're together, it's not supposed to equal 100%. The sum
Oo.
should be greater than the parts.
Mismo.
Yes.
Di ba? Isipin mo, di ba, how
Uh,
much better life would be if you're 100%, partners 100%, and then
100% din siya.
you compare it's 300. Di ba?
Damn. Tama.
Ganun
Tama
eh.
yun.
Di ba? The synergy
Right,
should,
right.
ganun eh.
Para kang
No,
ano eh.
I
Para kayong
totally
mag-aambagan sa
agree with
club.
that.
Kunwari ano,
Mhm.
meron kayong trip na mga tropa. Tapos lahat kayo equally divided. Tapos meron kang tropang, ay bro, wala akong pera. Okay
May
lang ba
walang
tong
ambag.
ambag ko? Ay, sira ambag pala eh. Kasama ka namin.
Yeah.
Di ba? Parang
Yung ambag niya, good vibes.
good vibes. Mag-freeload siya.
Ganun, di ba?
Pamumukha niya sa'yo.
Yeah.
Buti nga sumama ako sa inyo eh.
Mhm.
Buti ka na sumama.
Di ba? Ano regalo mo sa akin? My presence is the gift.
Di ba? Buwis.
Ganun na tao. Yeah.
Right.
Pero
And
siguro just to tie it back down, no. That's that becomes an emotional topic for men. Kasi ano eh, there's like I said, siguro let's just remove the idea na having emotions means crying.
Right.
No. Like you
It's not.
for a guy to wake up in the middle of the night going like, ang ginagawa ko sa buhay ko. That's emotional. What the fuck do you mean? Diba? That's an
Right.
emotional situation. That is an emotional
Yeah.
situation. Parang
And
figuring out I need to better myself. It's an emotional situation. That insecurity, that uncertainty, diba?
that's
doubt.
true. And emotions are not just, there are a lot of non-verbal cues for emotions. Right? And I think in not just in our culture, I guess in general for men, because nga especially in a culture where the society has some sort of expectations for men on how they're supposed to handle their emotions. Doesn't matter what kind of emotions those are, but most especially for emotions that make you look weak. Right? It just becomes like sometimes it becomes nonverbal. Have you guys been? So I love the relationship topics. It's that's so perfect for
On
this
brand.
podcast,
It's
right?
on brand for the cast.
Exactly. But just tying it back to emotions, no. I wanna know, you guys. Chris, are you in a relationship? Something that I can take it out if hindi mo pwedeng
around. Hindi, okay.
Dating.
Hindi, open naman ako.
Dating. All right. Pao
I have
is
2 kids
is in a
already.
very 2 kids. So Pao is in a
Ako,
very very happy relationship.
I am, but I'm in a
Congrats,
private
Pao.
life. I'm in a private life.
Very very private. I'm
My
in a very
private
very
life.
private, very very happy relationship as
Also,
well.
I think as you grow up, parang there's just less of a need to parang broadcast.
That's so
I'm not,
true.
not an influencer.
Alam
I'm happy.
mo na
Important people would
na-realize
know.
yan.
Kung
Na-realize
TV
ko
ba
yan na. Siguro part na rin when you're pag tumatanda ka na, nagmamature na yung life mo, including the people you meet, the people you interact. Nababawasan na ako ng dati kasi siguro mga ilang years ago, ang dami ko mga sad, emotional friends on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Pero ngayon, what I realize is I don't have those anymore. And I feel like,
Yeah, I think for me,
na-realize ko lang.
once the important people know, that's it.
So
Right.
That's true.
did you cut ties with those people?
Or did they fix themselves?
Oo.
Did
Probably,
they self-sort?
yeah.
They self-sorted out.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yun lang.
I guess a
What's
big
the
part,
important- there's a reason why when you get married, invitations are sent out. It's by invite only.
yes.
Your relationship should
Not-
function the same.
Not everyone is
This is not for public consumption.
that is so true. That's that's
Pero
the
may
best
mga
way
ibang
to put it.
nagpo-post pa rin ng ng relationship nila online. Hindi dahil para ipagmalaki, para
To celebrate
mamanipulate na yung
publicly.
partner nila na parang tignan mo tayo, ang happy natin
Ah,
Happy natin sa
yeah.
Facebook.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I guess
I think
you know,
they have other things to fix.
May
you
mga
may
tao
have
ganun
yeah,
Kasi
you may have other
parang-
problems.
Pag nakita mo sila on Facebook, very sweet, very caring, pero in real life, they don't
in real
act.
life,
Oo,
madaming
parang
ganyan.
Yung mga iba kaya na nilalagay yung mga pics na yun on Facebook. Hindi naman lahat pero may kilala kasi akong mga ganun. Para
Madami.
mamanipulate yung partner nila na parang, we are good. We're doing good.
Yeah, I think for me, the one that I used to see a lot before was like one partner will share parang, uy, sana all, and then they'll share like a photo of like a dream destination.
Oo.
Parang para sa akin, 'di ba, magkatabi kayo. Just go tell your
Yung
partner,
yung
parang
nauso ngayon sa TikTok, bro, yung kuwari may camera dito, tapos may gagawin silang shit, kung manood sila ng gig o whatever. Parang kailangan nyo bang, hindi nyo ba i-enjoy yung moment? Kailangan ba may camera sa likod nyo para ipakita nyo yung moment ninyo sa social media?
Yeah, 'di ba?
You know,
Yun yung-
unfortunately nowadays everything is a content. So some of them really just does it for the content, really.
Yeah, I think that's a bigger topic about how
Yeah.
everything now has to be a personal brand.
That is so true.
Kanina, so before we went on air, 'di ba? No, before we went on air, parang tinanong ni Queen Wasabi, parang how do I
So Pao, you mentioned I asked you something during the onset of the
Yeah, kasi kanina, 'di ba, parang nung tinanong mo kanina na how do I introduce you? And I know what I've done. Alam mo yun, parang I know my own career. I was there for most of it. Pero ano siya parang dumating ako dun sa point in my life na parang I don't necessarily need to make it my brand. So, ano sabi ko sa'yo? Parang, I don't know, ikaw na bahala. Kasi, it's not that I'm downplaying the stuff that I've done. It's not, because a lot of them are also parang collective achievements. And so it's a career that was, that was built as a community. But it's really because I think, as I've grown older, parang the need for me to constantly put myself out there as a brand it's not really there anymore.
And people don't actually care kung ano yung title mo, di ba? What you have accomplished in the past.
I think it's
Hindi naman
really
job interview
Yeah, but I think there's parang there's a culture kasi na parang you have to constantly sell yourself out there. Parang this guy is known for this. Parang I think specialization is
Pao,
for insects. Alam mo yun? Parang,
well, see, Pao, like you said, you're in that phase na you're in that level where you know your worth. There's no need to, constantly sell yourself as a brand. You don't have to. You've done it.
I'm not faulting other people for having it. I'm saying
Right.
where I am right now, I'm sort of,
Exactly.
I guess it's part of the new rat race, diba? I'm just not there anymore. So for me, parang
You don't
Ikaw,
have to.
up
You
to
don't
you.
have to really like. I mean, you're someone in our industry. You don't need any introductions, really.
Yung mga tao kasi very particular sa title. Like, parang maiinis sila pag hindi mo nilagay yung title na yun. Ba't di mo nilagay yan?
Yeah,
That's why I'm
diba?
always
Parang-
very, I would always have to ask. So, how do you want me to introduce you?
Like you go to a restaurant and somebody has to refer to you as engineer. Why? I'm here to
Like,
eat
nung
fried chicken.
stand-up comedian pa ako,
Oh, yung mga
bro,
ganyan.
meron akong mentor na parang gusto niya ilagay na parang 12 years in the industry. Parang
Why?
parang hindi ka naman kilala.
Why? Why do you
Pero
need,
bakit? For
why do you need to
comedy, what
say
the fuck?
that?
Ano ka? Okay lang sana kung physician ka or 'di ba, specialize yung profession for a
Yeah,
stand-up
yeah, yeah.
comedian. Relax,
So,
bro.
so,
Alam mo
so,
may kasalanan yan. Alam mo may kasalanan yan. Ano Game of Thrones.
yung mahaba, yung parang
Yung
Mother of
mahaba, di
Dragons,
ba?
First of his
Breaker of
name,
Right.
Chains, First of his
Right.
name.
Yeah,
Oo
so
nga, tama.
that's it,
Isip
right?
mo.
Really good discussions about all of this, no. I wanna siguro we have a couple more minutes, but I wanna
It's all right,
just
though. It's all
quickly.
right. I'm saying, we can keep going a little bit more. I'm just
I love
saying
that. Thank you.
we don't have 3 hours, is what I mean.
No, I
do
don't have that
other
too.
things. Yeah.
Got some pending stuff I need to work on. But yeah, I want to
To
ask,
feed my kids. No.
has it ever happened to you guys where alam mo yung kailangan yung pigilan yung whatever strong emotions you have because of whatever. Like when is that specific time na talagang tumatak sa utak nyo na wait, hindi hindi ako pwedeng maging emotional right now. Hindi ko pwedeng ilabas to right now. There's a proper time for this, but not right now. How was it for you? How did you handle that?
I mean, I think everything has a time and place, right? The thing about having emotions, like if you just ask me, is it good for men to have emotions? I will say yes. Unequivocally, I will say
Yes.
yes. The nuance there is that you should not also be ruled by your emotion. You should be
That's
able
true.
to. You should have mastery over them. That doesn't mean you don't feel or you actively stop yourself from feeling, but there is a difference between feeling and action.
What
Feeling
you
your
do with the
emotions,
emotion. Mhm.
yes, what you feel is different from what you do. The same way what you
About that
think
emotion.
is different from what you do. Diba? A lot of the stuff that we think about does not necessarily mean that tayo na yun. If you think of like a weird thing or like a bad thing, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. What makes you a bad person is when you act on it. So what you do.
That's true.
Same
For
thing with your emotions.
example, sa panliligaw, 'di ba? May mahal na mahal kang tao pero hindi ka pa naman sure kung mahal ka rin niya in return, 'di ba? So parang tama ba na i-pour mo yung emotions mo na parang, I love you, ikaw yung ikaw yung pinakamagandang babae. So syempre busted ka nun, 'di ba? So, kailangan may self-control ka. And tignan mo yung sitwasyon kung tama ba, ito na ba yung perfect time para i-all out ko yung emotions ko with her? Or should I wait?
Yeah, di
Ma-test
ba?
kung
Yeah,
it feels the same way.
part of that then is it the type of person that would respond to that? Di ba? Parang,
Oh.
meron, di ba? May iba rin na ganun, di ba? And
Even when
maybe that's the
proposing
reason.
for marriage, 'di ba? Even when for proposing for marriage, you just don't kneel in front of that person. Tapos parang ine-expect mo that she would say yes. Di ba?
Mhm.
Kailangan meron kang perfect timing kung talagang kilala mo yung sarili mo, kilala mo siya. Alam mo kung kailan yung right moment to ask for her hand, 'di ba, in marriage. Kaya ang
Yeah.
daming makikitang videos, 'di ba, parang nag-grand proposal sa mga stadium. Iniwanan ng babae kasi parang, oy bro.
O kasi na-overwhelmed din siya or something, di
Oo,
ba? Or
diba?
they felt blackmailed, di ba? Ganun. Ako yun, kanina yung nabanggit natin na parang crisis. Crisis. Actual crisis. Di ba?
That's
Maybe
true.
now is not the time. Maybe we survive first.
Binabalikan mo ba? The
You have to.
like
You have,
have
to.
to.
So, look, ako,
something
ito,
that needs to be settled.
Hindi, ganito yan. Ito paniniwala ko. And actually, I was talking about this earlier this morning. I believe that the physical laws of the universe apply to things that we don't even necessarily think that they apply to. Example, I don't think na suppressing your emotions means that they are gone. In fact, they will fester. So if hindi mo siya babalikan, hindi mo siya alam mo yun, parang i-resolve, hindi ibig sabihin na wala yun. Nandito yun. Kung ba para siyang sugat. Again, physical law of the universe. Ang sugat, pag di mo siya nilinis, it will get worse.
Right.
Ignoring your wound, not fix it. Di ba? Lalo na when it's, gets infected or whatever, right? Obviously, your body will naturally heal, pero iba yun eh. You have to, may active component yun eh. It's the same thing with your emotions. Crisis happens. You get out of it. You have to go back. Kasi one practical way is if you process your emotions when a crisis happens, then you prevent future crisis. Diba?
Right. That's so true. That's
So
true.
for a lot of people, they don't process their emotion. Something bad happens to them. And again, let's put it in the context of a relationship. Something bad happens to them, and then once they get another partner, the same thing happens. Because why? Because di nila pinroses eh.
Right. I
Diba?
love that. I love the
Don't,
term that you
don't,
used.
diba? Don't, alam mo, don't repeat your own mistakes.
I just want to highlight, no, I just want to highlight the term that you use, process. Right? Process the emotion. I have this thing where this is a line that I love. Don't ever make decisions out of temporary emotions.
I can agree with that, yeah. I can agree with that.
Because
I think
see,
it comes with mastery. Alam mo yun?
that's true. That's not something that you know right away, because emotion is a tricky thing. Right? Emotions
Like when you're
are
happy,
tricky.
di ba, biglang oh, sige, bukas, libre ko kayo lahat, ah.
Yeah, o
Tandem
yun.
yan. Tandem yan, Chris. Tandem yan. Don't
or alam mo yun,
make promises.
pag nag-casino ka, tapos, uy,
Oo.
parang humit ako sa roulette isang beses. Tapos okay, all in, next.
Right,
Goodbye.
right.
Diba?
Tandem yan. Don't make promises when you're happy. Don't make decisions when you're emotional. Right?
Tama.
Kasi, like I said, emotions needs to be processed because emotions are never permanent. Or at least most of it. There are permanent emotions like anger, diba? Merong mga ganyan eh. But a lot of these emotions, they pass. A lot of these emotions, while we're not going to be able to quantify exactly what kind or how much emotions you have, we all know that there are emotions that fades. And I love the word that you used when you say process, because there are times when the emotions needs to be processed carefully before you take any actions deriving
Ako,
from that emotion.
siguro going back sa pinag-usapan natin kanina yung topic ng sad boy. Mga sad boy ganun eh. Diba? They're not processing na parang the reason why you're not in a relationship or you're not in a meaningful relationship or whatever is because you wallowed in that sadness.
Right.
Diba? You wallowed in that sadness. Diba? Rather than actually fix something about yourself or feel good about yourself, you keep using the sad boy shtick to attract women. Diba?
Who
You
falls
sleep
for
with
the
them.
sad boy?
You sleep with them, and then you wake up the next morning, you ghost them. Did your life get any better? No. Wala anong
Na
pinroses
dopamine
eh.
hit lang yun.
Exactly. Dopamine hit lang yun.
Dopamine hit lang yun, and then wala na ulit.
Wala na ulit, diba?
Tapos
See,
search ka ulit, tapos vicious cycle na siya.
exactly, diba? You're actually becoming a slave just to, diba? To that serotonin and dopamine hit. See,
Same
Right,
with
right.
gambling, di ba?
yes, same with gambling. You're not actually
Only
getting any
for
more
that
skill.
win.
Diba?
One more win.
Diba? Parang you're just chasing, parang siyang, it's a psychological concept, yung Skinner box, na parang, funny sound, big payout. Hinahabol mo lang siya ng hinahabol, diba?
I mean, like these sad boys, no. Alam mo, feeling ko lang, hindi ko nila
I actually
lahat,
don't
ah.
think, so they have emotions, because they're sad boys. I think they're emotionally immature.
Yeah,
when,
yeah.
when you post the topic na parang emotional men, there is emotional maturity in men. Ayun, sabi ko kanina.
That's true.
Dude, how I like anime, right? I like anime. I don't know if you guys watched yung, maybe your audience have watched it. Nanood ako ng My Hero Academia. I remember pa, the first season of My Hero Academia. The first time nakita ko si All Might, kinalaban niya yung pinotekta niya yung mga students niya. Tapos the music was swelling. Maluluha ka dun. Tangina. Malamang, di ba? Nung bata ako, nanood ako ng Land Before Time, which just tells people
Oh
my
my
age.
God.
Siyempre maluluha ka. Di ba? Maluluha ka dun. Matutuwa ka pag may nakita kang
Kakaiyak yun,
makulit.
ah.
Exactly, di ba? Oh.
I cried.
Tumatay yung mami ba niya? Yung
Yes,
Yeah, mom
si
niya.
Littlefoot, di ba? See, there you go.
Grabe.
This is now the Batang 90s podcast, di ba? Pero that's where you see men have emotions. The difference
Of
is in
course.
the maturity. The difference is
Right.
in the maturity. Diba?
And yung
And
role model din siguro that those men look up to, 'di ba? Kaya siguro nagiging sad boy siya baka mamaya. Yung role model niya. Kasi
yung
'di ba
mga
as
kasama niya
men,
rin siguro.
Right.
meron tayong iniidolo 'di ba? Na
Yeah.
gusto natin either basta father
Role
figure
models. Yeah.
o
Yeah. That's
I
that's a
love
big
that.
imagine
part of
wala
it.
kang ganun. Pag wala kang ganun, 'di ba?
Mm-mm.
Kung nakikita mo walang kwentang role model. Kaya nga 'di ba, ngayon sa mga sa social media may mga influencers tayo na mga rapper aka mga feeling Jordan Peterson na nag-educate sa mga young men na dapat ito. Pero hindi nila alam yung
Ano?
Na.
Ano bang
philosophy
term?
dun sa mga sinasabi nila eh. 'Di ba?
Yeah.
Kung si
It,
Andrew
it's
Tate,
it's all parang repeated lang. It's just regurgitated from someone pero nawala na yung actual nuance nung original.
yes,
Parang ganun.
kung ba't nila sinasabi yung take nila about that, like why men should be masculine, 'di ba?
Mm. I agree.
Parang isang sentence lang tapos okay, kakain natin wing to without even knowing yung philosophy and yung nuances behind those
I love that.
Ah,
I love that kasi yung so my partner sort of brought my attention to something. It's something na parang that was more common in classical learning. So there are three foundations to classical learning. One is language, the second is logic, the third is rhetoric. What does that mean? Una nating pinakapag-aralan yung language so that we can turn yung naiisip natin into words for people to hear from us. Next natin na natututunan is logic so that we can actually sort of weigh parang tama ba yung sinabi ko? Right? The third is rhetoric. Kasi pagdating sa rhetoric, parang okay, alam ko na yung sasabihin ko, alam ko na yung logic na sasabihin ko, now I need to persuade someone. That's rhetoric. The problem ngayon natin, especially happens to a lot of like men's topics, is a lot of it, they just jump to rhetoric. They're just repeating something they heard that persuaded them. They didn't do the full thing, so they don't understand the full gravity of that. So for example, when somebody says you should be masculine, that sounds like a good idea. Pero you miss a lot of the nuance kung ba't niya sinabi yun eh. Kasi for example, I think I know yung sinasabi ni Chris na parang sometimes I hear from like younger generations na parang pag lalaki ka, dapat ganito ka, alam mo yun, dami kang bitches, mga ganun. Parang, to me,
bitches.
alam mo yun, parang, to me, parang,
Oh, the
did we-
bitches.
Di ba? Parang dapat may auto ka, ganun. Tapos, hindi, kasi yung ano eh. This is my favorite talking point, by the way. Kasi, I remember hearing someone say, di, pag lalaki ka, normal lang yung maging polygamous. Bakit? Kasi sa animal kingdom, pre, yung mga animals, ano yun eh,
Oh my
polygamous
God!
siya, di ba? Kasi I remember hearing that.
Pati mga anak nila.
'Di ba? Ganun, 'di ba? Or again, classic classic example. When a key opens many locks, you call it a master key. But when a lock opens from any key, you call it a shitty lock. Again, that's a cute phrase. It's rhetoric. Pero here's the thing. Ang sagot ko sa mga taong ganun yung argumentation nila, dali lang. If you tell me na your justification for being a certain way is because animals do it, I'm sorry, but I consider myself a higher species.
Right.
If you're because dogs do it, kaya ginagawa ko yung ganun. I'm a slave to my desires because dogs do it eh. Then I'm sorry. My species created cell phones that can shoot lasers from space. 'Di ba? And because of that, that is also the species that has developed higher understanding, higher mastery of themselves. 'Di ba?
Right.
Yun eh.
Alam mo-
So, susundan mo lang yun. Okay, sige, compare mo sarili mo sa animal. I'm going to, compare myself to the species that created skyscrapers or oil rigs in the middle of the ocean. People who can
Right.
master the elements and master themselves.
Alam mo, funny you guys brought that up. I was invited to this podcast. Couple of
Yan,
guys
kwento mo
feel
na.
like they're, but hindi ko na babanggitin kung sino sila because I really don't want to give them a space in my space.
Sabihin mo na lang, queen.
No,
Alam
no,
naman kami,
I,
having many topics about those.
I think I heard about this, but I'm retired, so I'm no longer terminally online.
So but basically it's like a fucking cult of men who felt like they call themselves high value men. Like what?
Na
Anyway,
nakuha nila kay ano yan, kay Andrew Tate, di ba?
kay
Yung
Andrew
kanilang-
Tate.
Diba? Parang dyan nagsimula yan eh. Pero si Andrew Tate kasi kahit na-coup siya online, learned man siya, di ba? Chess champion,
I think yung dad niya was like a
grand.
like a grandmaster chess, yung dad
Grandmaster.
niya.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
tsaka,
but-
di ba,
but-
si Piers Morgan, nakipag-debate siya kay Piers Morgan. Isipin mo si Piers Morgan yun, di ba?
Yeah.
Sa mga hindi nakakaalam si Piers Morgan, Google nyo lang. Di ba? Kumbaga, tas itong mga tao to gagayahin si Andrew Tate mo kasi ng tanga, di ba? Hindi sapat nakamukha mo lang si Andrew Tate, di ba? At alam mo nun yung
yeah.
insights.
Tsaka ang natatawa ako, like a lot of them go na parang, ay high value men kami ganun. They use the talking points. And then some of them, they even use yung mga talking points si Jordan Peterson. And then you actually read Jordan Peterson's work. And you see, Jordan
diba?
Peterson is a family man. Alam mo yun?
Oo, Chris,
Right.
God-fearing man, di ba?
Jordan, I remember reading some of his work, and in some of his work, parang sabi niya, no, pag yung ang trato niya sa asawa niya, we're a team. Like, when he talks to yung wife niya, parang sabi niya is, he doesn't want to win the argument because they're a unit. They're a
Yes,
family
exactly.
unit. It's not about winning against your partner. And then you
That's
listen
true,
to
that's true.
And then you listen to people who just fall for the
Di ba
rhetoric
minimis-
na parang, di, kung
Oo.
babae ka, hindi ka marunong magluto, wala kang value. Parang ganun. Like,
Di ba? Parang grabe.
imagine parang yung source, malayo na sila sa source.
Sobra.
Di ba?
Sobra.
Malayo na sila
And,
sa source.
and this is a trap din kasi, like all these short formed content that we see without any fucking context, tapos susundan mo, dun mo ipapattern yung buhay mo at paniniwala mo out of like what, a 60-second video that you've seen.
Hindi
It's
nga nila
crazy.
ni-research yun eh. Yung,
No,
yung
they
kaisipan na yun
don't.
eh.
God,
No,
they
wala
won't.
lang, narinig lang nila.
They won't.
Oh, narinig
They
lang
won't,
nila
they
on a
won't.
short, di ba? On like, because they're
Ma-explain
doom
mo kung
scrolling
bakit
at 3 a.m.
Pagiging high value man, kung ano yung pagiging high value man talaga, hindi nila masasabi yan eh. Oh, high value man. Ito, naka Gucci.
Diba?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So, and yun din eh, that's also the same class of person na parang, I think I heard from one of these parang podcast before na parang, oh, if you're a high value man, you can't cry to your wife. Parang ganun. Parang,
Nah.
Who is it?
it's kind of bullshit. Alam mo yun? Parang, if there's someone you can be vulnerable to, it has to be
It
that
should-
person.
Exactly. The person you're with.
Diba?
Diba?
And
Sabi
sa
mo
ano
nga
siya eh,
kanina,
Pero gets ko din siya eh. Kasi parang sa kanila siguro, yung experience nila when they were vulnerable to ganun nila, it was also because it was also an unhealed woman. Na parang iniyakan nila yung unhealed na woman, yung woman parang yak, ganun. That means, dude, the lesson you needed to take from that wasn't, oh, crying equals bad. The lesson you needed to take from that was, I'm probably not with the right person.
that's true.
That was the
Yun yung
ano eh. They
Yun yung
missed
problema
they
sa
missed the
ganung mga
lesson.
podcast eh, napaka-general nila eh. And wala silang nuance eh. Di ba parang, ito nangyari sa akin, so dapat ito na mangyari dapat.
Oh, so general truth of the world na siya parang.
Di ba?
Yeah.
Without even considering na parang, I should be more self-aware next time before saying this sa partner ko. Di ba parang, alam mo yun, ang dami mga bagay eh. Depende sa circumstance eh.
And guys, I hope that you guys don't misinterpret this as because we're talking about this. This is like dapat kung hindi pala naintindihan. Iniyakan ko yung partner ko, hindi niya naintindihan yung pag-iyak ko, and that's a bad idea. No. It doesn't work like that because at the same time, talking about emotions in your relationship is also a work in progress. But there has to be progress. Right? There has to be progress.
And you have to understand that two individuals kayo eh. Hindi naman kayo connected with one another. So minsan,
Yeah, you're not the same person.
Right.
yes, exactly. Pero laging ka, hindi, dapat we should be the same person. Diba? Hindi ko alam kung paano yung day niya, the whole day, kung naging bad trip ba siya the whole day. Pero ine-expect mo kailangan maintindihan ka niya kagad.
Oh, tsaka ano siya, like for example then, like siguro for people who are listening, 'di ba? Parang there's always that idea kasi na parang dahil nangyari sa akin to, this must be the thing that's happening everywhere.
Yes.
That's why ako ang me personally, what I do even in the subject of emotions, I like learning about how things work. Kasi dun nagsisimula bago ako mag-form ng opinion eh. Di ba? Parang, okay, emotion. Well, topic of emotion. Ba't pa nangyayari yung emotion? Oh, it's a chemical trigger in your body to a sensation. Wala kang full control, di ba? The same way na pag humawa ka ng mainit, masakit. Ganon din siya. Makita ka ng nakakatuwa, matatawa ka. Di ba?
Alam mo,
May siya eh. There's a mechanic to it. Pag hindi mo
Gusto ko
inintindi yun, mali yung concept mo about it kasi mali yung foundation.
that's right. Gusto ko yung sinabi mo na we can't control it. Marami kasing nagsasabi na you have to control your emotions.
I think iba yung
the emotions that you
understanding
have.
nila ng control.
Iba yun.
You control your actions.
Exactly. What you do with it. So, let's go back to that. Kasi, you felt the emotion. Okay, sige. You had an emotion. Ako yung partner mo. You had an emotion. Right? Hindi mo makokontrol yun. Emotion mo yan. Na nagalit ka eh. Hindi mo makokontrol yun. But what you do with it is something that you then can control. Right?
Yeah.
Yun yung kaya mong kontrolin eh. Hindi yung emotion mo. Now, for me, as the partner, alam kong yung kinagalit mo walang sense. Alam kong yung kinagalit mo, tangin na ba't nagagalit to? Walang
Wala sa lugar.
Kasi,
wala sa lugar.
Pero do you try to explain? Ba't walang kwento
Okay.
yung galit niya?
So, ganito kasi yan, no? Kasi usong-uso yung sinasabi na you're invalidating my feelings. 'Di ba?
Yeah,
See,
okay.
I'm gonna tell you guys right now, not all feelings are valid. I mean, you will be emotional, and I've talked about it so many times because this is like some sort of a hot topic for people, no? Like the invalidating of emotions. Like your emotions are there. It's right there. I will acknowledge it. Nagagalit ka, I'm gonna acknowledge your feeling. But I will fucking invalidate it if it's invalid. Of course, I will have to go through the explanation why, what's my take on it. But what I'm gonna
Let me
tell you is
think
that
about
I know that you have that, you're having that feeling. I acknowledge it. I can see it. I can also feel it. But I will not tell you that your feelings are valid if I know for a fact that it's not.
Okay.
Nako,
see.
umupo na si Pao.
Hindi, nangangalay na ako.
Awit.
Naging emotional na yung pa ako.
Pinaupo mo, Queen.
Naging emotional na yung pa ako. Hindi, ako, so, I think my take on that, no? And I think this is something na not just men, not just women, but I think couples should also really, really work on together. It's the concept of grace. Kasi ano siya eh. For example, I know I've been like this. I've seen people be like this. Na parang, okay, someone is feeling a certain way. Yeah, they're up in their feels, right? They're up in their emotion. Tayo as the partner, parang wala namang sense yung pinoproblema mo, di ba? So dun lumalabas yung parang mga accusations na parang, oh, you're invalidating my feelings. Tapos yung nabanggit mo kanina, parang, okay, your feelings are valid, nandyan siya. Pero I will fucking invalidate it if it's not valid. Ako kasi, ang tingin ko dun, you have to show grace. And what I mean by that is, you should always try to the best of your ability to give the person the benefit of the doubt and to treat them with the same kind of parang grace that you would want to be treated on your lowest
Empathy.
points. Hindi lang siya empathy eh. Kasi parang dapat yung base or for example, gawa ko na lang example. May problema yung partner mo. Then parang sa'yo, okay, doesn't make sense. Are you gonna invalidate it by being hard on them? Hindi. Diba? I-acknowledge mo siya and then you parang isipin mo, you always put in the back of your mind, the person that I'm with, this person is smart. This person isn't unreasonable. So if they're having difficulty with something, it really must be something. Right?
No,
It
I
really
get
must be
that.
something. So
And
yun,
don't get
para
me
sa akin,
wrong.
ganun kasi.
Don't get me wrong.
That stops someone from feeling invalidated. I may
And
not
that's
agree
true.
with you, but I will sit down and think the best of you so that I can help you process it. And in the end, you might be the one to go, oh ano, okay lang pala yung problema. Di ba?
No,
Ano
no, no,
Pero
gusto
that's
yung
mo eh?
that's true.
sinasabi
I
ni
think
Queen yung sinasabi niya na parang hindi naman niya ini-invalidate totally, pero siguro through her experience, parang feeling niya maliit na bagay lang yan eh. Parang can't you handle it? Parang kaso syempre kailangan may open discussion about it.
sometimes
Ano ba
sometimes
talaga
that's
siya?
true. Pero let me just i-align natin yung context, no. I might come off as very aggressive. I'm aggressive on the topic, but when I approach
partner.
that situation, I don't. I'm
Then yun,
very
then, yeah.
aggressive.
Then that's good.
No, no,
That's
no.
good.
Oh, hindi mo in-invalidate. Okay.
Oo,
Ako kasi the
medyo
reason-
aggressive lang ako with the topic.
The reason why I do that then is because
Okay.
sometimes partners do tend to do that. Kasi maybe sila din kunwari like imaginein mo, right? Someone's dealing with something. You're coming home, you're tired from work. You live in Metro Manila so you had to go through traffic. Alam mo yun, parang ikaw rin mainit na rin ulo mo. Dadalang ka ng problema na to you doesn't seem like a problem. Ano mangyayari? Because you didn't show grace.
Ganda na, no?
Nasabog kayo.
The idea of grace. But yeah, from where I'm coming from kasi, see, yung idea kasi ng invalidating emotions eh. Right? Sometimes, hindi naman ini-invalidate yung emotions mo. You acknowledge the emotion because it's right there. But, ang nangyayari kasi sa mga tao ngayon, tinatanggap nila ng tinatanggap because ayaw nilang masabihan na yung mga gaslighters. Uso sa mga gaslighters yan. Ginamitan na kasi ako niyan. 'Di ba? Ginamitan ako niyan na parang you're invalidating my emotions. No, I'm not invalidating your emotions.
I have
Your
heard
emotions
that
are right
too.
there. I
Pero ang hirap
acknowledge
din
that.
ang mag-gauge yan, no? Yung, like yung gaslighting. Kasi hindi mo rin alam kung ano yung... Parang, syempre, pag ikaw yon parang feeling mo gaslight. Pag ikaw yun nandun sa sitwasyon, pero hindi mo rin alam kung ano yung feeling nung kabilang tao, eh. Especially pag
Well,
mag-partners kayo, di ba?
That's why you're supposed... Kasi sa akin I know that things, communication, understanding your partner's language, not even the love languages, your partner's language and your language, they have to not match, but you have to understand. You know, dapat, kumbaga parang if wala kayong ganong klase ng understanding, why the fuck are you together?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, maybe it comes down to that.
Eventually.
Yeah. Maybe it comes
Maghiwalay din
down to
kayo.
that. And maybe it
Diba?
comes down to understanding what your bottom line really is. Na parang
Right.
Yeah,
You've mentioned
this
that. I noticed that you really love that that phrase. Can you elaborate lang siguro quickly? I've noticed you've used that in this episode. Understanding your bottom line.
for example, right? Let's say yung bottom line mo is you want a relation, like ikaw as a person. You want a person who is also strong-willed. Gusto mo magka-family ka, or basically your bottom lines are your non-negotiables.
Right.
And you don't really fully understand your non-negotiables until you understand yourself, until you heal yourself, until you
That's
figure
true.
out your own baggage and trauma. And once you do that work, and that work is hard,
That's so
right?
true.
And I'm also not saying na parang it's a prerequisite. It's a great if you can do that, but sometimes parang that work gets completed when you're with the right partner na rin, right? But what I'm saying is once you have your bottom line figured out, it becomes easier now to recognize the kind of partner that's right for you, right?
Ang ganda.
You can't actually identify red flags if you don't know what the color red is,
Oh, I love that.
right?
May pang-clip na tayo kaagad, guys.
Mahirap eh. Like, how are you gonna fucking understand what a red flag... Ano yung red flag, di ba? Balik tayo sa pinag-usapan namin kanina ni Chris. If you just rely on social media for red flags, di ba? Wala kang understanding. Di ba?
Lahat lang red flags.
Lahat na lang red flags, right? Or basta
Minsan nga, when
hindi...
you're with the partner that you want to spend the rest of your life with, kahit na may mga red flags pa siya, you would try to understand it and somehow siguro sabihin sa kanya yun tapos kung anong pwedeng i-work towards kung paano ma-improve or at least kahit paano mabawasan lang yun. So wala naman talagang perfect eh. Yung
Yeah,
relationship risk
I
That's
talaga
agree.
true.
yan. Hindi siya
I agree.
That's true.
parang all in na ako dito, dapat ito mag-work sigurado tayo dito. You can
I love
still
that.
separate ways.
That's true.
I love that
Diba?
kasi parang yung banggit din ni Chris, the parang it's like the opposite end of the spectrum. If you don't understand your bottom line, then you start to see every flaw as a red flag. Kasi
That's so
now you're
true.
searching, now you're searching for something unattainable. 'Di ba? Parang kasi hindi mo naintindihan yung bottom line mo. I saw this recently, I think like a few days ago. Someone was sharing na parang somebody posted on Twitter na parang the most unattractive hobby for a guy to date is video gaming. Parang may ranking siya na parang video games yung
Oh
pinaka most
yeah, I
unattractive,
saw
ganun.
that.
Right? And then, yun but I realized na parang it's not that you hate video gaming. Maybe your bottom line is you don't like it when your partner parang wala siyang ambition, wala siyang drive. And you're now sort of conflating an activity for the thing you don't actually like. Because you don't
Right.
understand your bottom line, you start to look at everything as a red flag.
That's so true.
So
And
that's what I mean by understanding your bottom line. You have to know yourself. Ano,
I love
how
that.
do you understand your taste? You don't know you.
That's so true. And you guys can check out I did an episode about that about finding your parang the right person for you. Sort of medyo connected siya where I mentioned in that podcast na parang you have to have some sort of hindi mo naman actually ililista no, pero in your head you know right away yung bottom line mo, what you're saying, what's
You just
the
have you just have a
non-negotiables.
whiteboard. You just have a whiteboard.
No, but the thing with that is like just like when you're going to a grocery, right? You list everything that you need. Because if you don't, or at least ako, if I don't list them,
You're gonna
I'd
forget
come
something
out with
important.
and I'd come out with all sorts of things that I don't need.
Pumasok ka, kailangan mo grocery, lumabas ka, mga fita, V-cut. Bibili mo
Diba?
chichirya.
Yeah, so same with finding that sort of bottom line. You have to know and you have to understand what you need. Right? Not just even in a relationship, but you as a person and understanding yourself first. I love it.
Even if
Thank
you
you so
find
much
the
for that.
right partner, sobrang complicated din na magiging takbo ng relationship along the way. Ang dami mga rough roads, diba? Mga secrets na bilang mauungkat na lang, alam mo yun, problema, depression. Kasi yun yung yun yung relationship talaga eh.
Yeah.
Diba?
It's
Yung mga
not
magulang ko,
all,
hanggang
ano
sila pa rin. Ang dami yan ang pinagdaanan,
It's
diba?
not all rainbows and unicorns, right?
Depende ko
By
din yan kung mag-i-stick kayo together, diba?
Sorry
Yung
kanina
grace
because I
na
was
sinasabi
actually
ni Pao, eh.
sorry, share ko lang. I was actually noting na yung next na isusulat ko when you mentioned relationship na negotiable. So abangan nyo, most probably yan yung next episode ko.
Oh, I love yung sinabi ni Chris doon, 'di ba? Like even when you do the work, 'di ba? The work of understanding yourself, mastering your emotions. Understanding that your emotions are not the enemy. They're just
Yes.
physical reality. It's nothing, 'di ba? It's not good or bad. It's just there.
Yeah.
Even pag nangyari yun, being in a relationship it's still work. So, siguro ang I love na sinabi ni Chris yun kasi what that also means is because it's still going to be a battle anyway, you want to give yourself the best chance of succeeding. And you're not doing anyone any favors if you don't master yourself. Dealing with another person is hard enough. Yeah, 'di ba? Dealing with another person is hard enough. Dealing with what life throws at you is hard enough, 'di ba? May partner ka, magkakaroon kayo ng family. Mawawalan ka ng trabaho because of the economy. Right? War happens. These are things out of your control. It's hard enough. Huwag mong dadagdagan yung problema mo by also not understanding yourself, by not understanding your own emotions. Alam mo yun, mahirap na nga yung buhay, dadagdagan mo pa, di ba? Parang, alam mo yung nalulunod ka na nga, tapos iinom ka pa ng tubig, gago ka ba? Di ba?
That's so
Di
true.
ba?
Grabe, no? So parang yung nga, 'di ba? Parang kahit na ako may mga client ako na 60 years old. Even them would attest na parang "Dude, ang hirap. Ang hirap pa rin, 'di ba? At
Yeah.
60, 'di ba? Mahirap pa
Yeah.
rin.
Yes.
May mga away pa rin, may mga secrets pa rin na ngayon lang nabubunyag. May asawa niya nahuli
Grabe.
ng Pegasus. 'Di ba parang 'di ba parang gano'n talaga eh.
Yeah.
Shoutout sa
It's a
Pegasus
never
yun.
ending
Second
ano
target.
eh. It's
Would
a
you
never
stay
ending
or would
process,
you
I
leave,
guess.
'di ba?
Mhm. Tama, tama. At the end of the day, I think it boils down to that. Right. Grabe, ang ganda
Hindi
ng
naman
ang
siya
ganda
ano
ng
eh, parang hindi siya weak.
discussion.
Ang akin lang kasi parang hindi weak naman yung babae pag pag pinatawad niya yung lalaki nag-cheat. I mean, come on, parang it goes both ways. May mga babae din naman nag-cheat, 'di ba? So parang ang tatapusin mo naman lang ba yung relationship na pinaghirapan niyo all these years?
Mhm.
Dahil nagkamali siya? Kasi ngayon parang parang quick tayo to end eh. To end, parang ang dami namang options outside. So parang may magawa ka lang sa akin, tapos na tong relasyon natin. I mean, hindi ko sinasabing okay mag-cheat ha.
Mm.
Pero may mga circumstances wherein mahaharap tayo dun parang si Jesus Christ or si Adam and Eve nung yung devil tinetest siya, yung will niya.
Mm.
Mhm.
May mga tao magi-give in eh. So parang nagkamali ba siya, kailangan ba i-X mo na siya?
Kaya
Yeah.
yun
So
din,
yun
ano
yung
din
malaking
eh.
question
Ah.
mark ngayon sa relationship pag pinagpatuloy mo siya sa longer years eh.
Mhm.
So
And I
parang,
think, just sort of to tie it back to the concept of emotion then, diba? Like, even for stuff like that, diba? Parang temptation. Temptations happen to everyone, right? Especially in a social media age. You should actually, the correct, and this is a very Christian point of view, diba? You don't actually fight temptation. You run away from it. You reject it. Diba?
That's
That's the
true.
same. That's the same thing, diba? So when paano ko siya tie to emotions? How do emotions happen? It's when things happen to you. If you remove yourself from a situation where that will happen, mawawala yung parang the emotion of lust, 'di ba? Mawawala yun kasi tinanggal mo siya sa
oo.
equation. That's how you
Yun
that's how
naman
you
ang sabi
master it.
nila, 'di ba? Run away from it.
Yeah.
You gotta run
You
away from it.
reject it.
Mhm.
And for you to run away from it, kailangan very mature ka emotionally and mentally. Kasi naniniwala ako doon, like kung bata ka, di ba, gusto mo makipag-away na lang, di ba? Ngayon parang, ops, teka lang, pag nakipag-away ba ako, ano yung consequences na pakikipag-away ko?
Mhm. I love
Diba?
that.
At
Ay,
lalo
ang
mga
ganda
lalaki,
nun.
kami mga lalaki, kahit na matatanda na kami, parang, sapakin ko to eh. Diba parang, sira ulo ko pala eh. Diba gusto mo diba makikita mga road rage ng mga
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
matatanda, kukuha ng kawayan, gustong awayin yung,
Yung
diba
bunot
parang,
agad ng baril.
diba babaril, diba yung nung pandemic, diba yung nagvi-video okay, yung police, binarila lang yung magnanay.
Mm.
Oh my God, yeah,
Wala
that
siyang
was
control sa
crazy.
emotion niya,
Yeah,
diba?
yun. That is an example of someone who had emotions. That's an emotional response.
Yeah, yeah.
Anger is an emotional response, 'di ba? And because di nila na master, it leads to some really fucked up situation. It
Alam mo,
leads to that act.
grabe, dami kong takeaway. I guess yung mga pinaka-favorite ko na sinabi, yung most recently na sinabi nga ni Chris no na like, at the end of the day, are you gonna stay together out kahit na apart from 'di ba considering lahat ng klase ng emotions that you go through um and understanding yourself first, yung sarili mong emotion, like you said no, yung bottom line, it's really amazing. Grabe. I want to talk about, but I don't think we'll have enough time for that, maybe in another time kasi the
Yeah, yung anak ko na may biceps, yung
Oo nga
pusa
eh,
kasi,
nagpakarga na eh.
gutom na yun. Gutom na siya.
Gutom na.
But
Gutom na
yeah,
siya. Malaki siya eh. Ano siya eh. Size niya aso eh. So, usually when people go, may alaga ba? O may aso kami. Mukha lang siya pusa.
Anong breed niya, Pao? Anong breed niya?
Maine Coon. Sa Maine Coon.
Maine Coon.
Sa Maine Coon.
Grabe.
So,
Ang laki niya. It doesn't look like a cat anymore.
si ano siya.
But
Pangalan
yeah.
niya Akuma kasi demonyo siya.
All right. Well, grabe. Thank you guys. I love it.
Yeah.
I learned. It's if you guys know my podcast, almost all of my podcast ako lang mag-isa. So, I talk a lot, but
Like the
you
Andrew
guys
Huberman podcast where you're just talking about the concept. Palabas lang.
Pero you guys reminded me of how amazing it is to, to have someone, talk to discuss something, just watching you guys discuss about what you guys think of emotions, talk about relationships. I think we've covered a wide range of topic here, and then, tying it back to basically the emotions. And I hope our viewers as well were able to get some really, really good takeaways out of these episodes. I wanted to actually, my closing was supposedly about toxic masculinity, because the macho effect is big in our culture, and it's very much tied to, to emotions. But I guess,
I do have
hopefully,
something for that. I do have
oh,
something.
I love it. Oh, sige, ito ang closing natin, ladies
Siguro
and
last ko na
gentlemen.
lang when it comes. Actually, si Chris was the one who mentioned something about that I really like. When it comes to the concept of toxic masculinity, the best thing about it, find find good male role models. It's how you solve it. Kasi
Yeah.
ano siya eh. Um, Personally, this happened to me siguro last year. No, 2 years ago. Was talking to my girlfriend about sometimes kasi in society it's hard for men to find parang yung emotional support din minsan. Kasi with women you have your girlfriends, you go out to Cafe Mary Grace, alam mo yung tita moments
Ang
kayo at like
tita!
10 a.m. diba? Yeah, exactly. I'm
Oo.
35, of course. Um, but then you have that emotional support group. Sometimes it's hard for men, right? For men sometimes, and with my friend group, I could be playing with them for like hours and hours, and then if you ask me parang, oh, kamusta na si ganito? I don't know. I don't know. Lalaro lang
Right.
kami, di ba? Parang ganun eh. So once I started checking up on my male friends, you know what happened? I had a friend, we've been friends since high school. Because I had that conversation with my partner, I randomly called him up. So, pare, kamusta na? Haven't talked in a while. I just checked up on him. And then he told me that he was actually so glad that I called kasi he was about to go to surgery.
Ooh.
He had a medical thing. The only one he could talk to was yung girlfriend niya and yung family niya. Pero he was really parang worried about it. I talked him through it. And then, sabi niya, Pao, thank you, tumawag. I really didn't expect it. Just check on your friends. Because when you have good parang male role models, male support groups, parang just a solid group of guys, I promise you that toxic masculinity shit goes away really fast.
Tama.
Yeah.
And they have to be the right role models then. Like, kaya gusto ko yung pagkabanggit kanina ni Chris kasi if it's also just parang you're a bunch of parang men who haven't really fully come to terms or really understood the things that they're saying, di ba? It becomes it becomes a feedback loop eh. One thing
Yeah.
that I learned is really if you want to transform yourself, it's consumption. It's what you consume. You want to
Yes.
change your body, you eat healthy. You want to change your mind, you have to
Consume.
consume the right thing. Consumption is transformation. Di ba? So if you have good role models, you have a good support group, you have a good set of guys keeping you accountable. Di ba? And when I say good group of guys, these are the type of guys na parang pag, alam mo yung, kunwari yung tropa mo, na lalaki, alam mong may jowa or may asawa, may anak, then makikita mo sa social media, parang nagla-like ng mga girls, tapos call them out. What the fuck are you
Yeah.
doing? You have a beautiful wife at home. Di ba? Put that shit away. Di ba?
That's true.
That's what
Kaya
you
on
need.
point eh. On point yung sinabi ni Chris kanina. That was
Yeah,
really
I love
beautiful.
it. I love it. Nung
That was
sinabi ni
really
Christian, I was like,
beautiful.
yeah. Check
Yung
on your male.
co-host ko si Gerald, sinabi niya sa podcast na hindi siya sold dun sa term na toxic masculinity kasi parang sa kanya hindi dapat toxic ang masculinity eh. Parang
That's true.
It's not
kailangan
supposed to
mong
be.
maging masculine eh.
Kaya ka nga
Kumbaga,
masculine eh. Di ba?
kaya nga as men, kailangan mong i-ano yan eh, gampanan yung pagiging masculine. Hindi parang walang parang sabi niya there's no such thing as toxic masculinity, pero there's such thing as assholery.
Oo.
Kupal ka talaga, kupal ka talaga.
May kupal yan, yeah. May
Ganda.
kakupalan lang.
Ganda. Yes,
Do,
that's
do
so
not
true.
attribute to one thing what
Diba
can be
sabi nga ni
explained by being an
Jordan
asshole.
Peterson, 'di ba, yung parang it's better to be a warrior in a garden than to
In a
be
garden at war.
gardener at war, 'di ba? Parang you have to use yung yung violence sa time na kailangan talaga siya.
That's true. That's true. Ganda.
That doesn't
I
mean you're a
love it.
violent person.
Mhm.
Exactly, 'di ba? Equip ka lang. You're equipped. Like kunwari may partner ka, hindi ka parang bitch na, ay hindi ko kaya take my wife, take my 'di ba? Kaya equip ka
Oh.
na pagtanggol yung family mo, 'di ba?
Mm. Ako ano siya, like with my brothers, before I used to be like harder on my brothers. I used to fight with my mom, alam mo yun. Pero nowadays, because part of doing the work, I am gentle. I am gentle to the people I love, 'di ba? But I will still call them out. Pero again, in a way na hindi naman unless kailangan, 'di ba?
Right.
But if it's something that threatens them, ibang usapan na 'yun,
That's so true.
right? Ibang usapan na 'yun. Ganun lang. That's what it means to be a man who's in touch with their emotions. It's not about crying all the time, 'di ba? But part of that is really what you do when you feel those things. That is what defines a person. It's what they do.
I love it. Ganda. Gandang closing, no? Now about something maybe from you, Chris, to, talk about the emotions of a man.
Wala akong masabi dyan. Basta ako parang kailangan meron ka lang self-awareness and magkakaroon ka na ng self-awareness through experience. Lahat naman tayo naging sad boy at one point in time. Ako, nung college ako, sobra akong bitter sa mga athlete. Sabi ko, ba't ang dami nilang chicks? Mukha naman silang tanga. Bobobo nila. Pero wala sila yung high-value men at that time. Nung time na nasa college ako, tas wala pa akong kotse. Diba? So parang na-insecure ako noon. Sabi ko, balang araw pag ako graduate, tapos nagkakotse.
I'll show them.
Lahat ng babae sa buong, diba, mundo, parang ganun. So parang until such time na nagawa ko na yun, parang hindi pala okay yun. So magmamature ka rin in time eh. Pero, I mean, doon ko natutunan na parang hindi pala may mga bagay ka lang kailangan may experience in order for you to learn.
That's true.
Diba? Parang hindi bawal magkamali. Hindi bawal magkamali. Wala talagang perfect na tao.
I love
Hindi
that.
hindi ka pupunta sa mundo ng perfect. And hindi ka dapat ma-judge sa actions mo in the past. Especially pag hindi pa molded yung brain mo eh. Ngayon, pag 30 ka na, tas asshole ka pa rin. Ayun, yun yung
May
problema.
muwang ka na. Well, may muwang ka na.
Yeah.
You should know better eh. Diba?
Really
should
comes
know
with, really comes with experience, really comes with age. Again, understanding your bottom line. And when, what Chris mentioned, you have to have that good role models, for you to be able to really understand yourself. Men or women, there's a huge difference between how women handle their emotions, how men handle their emotions. But at the end of the day, we're all human. We all have emotions. That's right there. Self-awareness, sabi ni Chris, no? Self-awareness is the key. It's the actions that you do about that emotions.
It's it's a hard, it's a line from Yellowstone. I like that show.
Oh, yeah.
Sabi, may character doon, sabi niya, it's a hard thing becoming a man. It's hard. Mahirap siya. Kasi yung path ng mastery na yun, it's a lot of really looking at yourself in the mirror and going like, you're a fucking piece of shit. You need to fix this.
Alam
Hindi
mo,
mabait ang mundo for men. Especially,
that's true.
young men. Hindi
That's
mabait.
That's true. Alam mo, alam niyo yung dilemma ko right now, It's so easy to talk about women's emotion. It's everywhere. It's all over, right? Pero there's that certain interest. At least for me, to explore a little bit more. I mean, it looks easy. It looks, it looks straightforward. But I know for a fact there's more to it. And, I'd love to really, really dig deeper into what goes in that psyche to that emotion. I love this episode. Thank you guys for joining me tonight.
Yay!
I hope, thank you for giving me your time. Sorry, medyo nag-overtime tayo, but I love our conversation. Anything that you guys want to promote, anything that you guys want to share to our listeners before we wrap up? Go ahead, Chris.
Gusto ko lang i-add doon, Queen, yung sinabi ni Pao na about pag may partner ka, yung grace na one should one should give doon sa partner para hindi sila magkaroon ng matinding conflict. Okay yun eh.
Love it.
Something na dapat matutunan ng lahat. Regardless kung babae ka o lalaki. Yung
That's
grace.
true. And at yan ang isa sa pinakamadalas. Grace is something that when you talk, I've done so many relationship podcast episodes with guests. I don't think grace has ever been included in the
Basic,
topics
ano siya,
of
di ba?
relationship.
Parang, if you're with a person, parang you want, I mean, there has to be a reason, di ba? So you expect the best out of them. Because if you find yourself na you cannot even extend grace to the person you're supposed to be with, it's probably time to part ways, right?
That's so
Ganun
true.
lang siya eh. Kasi pag hindi mo mabibigay yun dun, parang, di ba, if you cannot give that person the benefit of the doubt, if you can't expect the best out of them, alam mo yun, parang, kung malayo pa lang, parang iniisip mo na may duda na, parang, feeling ko tanga to, o kaya feeling ko
Saan galing
nag-cheat to, di ba? Parang ganun, di ba? Then get out. That's obviously not the right
And
relationship. What are you
quite
doing?
honestly, you know, reflection sa'yo yan. Ikaw pumili dyan. Right? Ikaw pumili dyan.
It
You're
will
that
only get
person.
worse, di ba? Marami ko nakikita ganyan mga couples nagkasama pa rin hanggang ngayon, mga 5 years. Parang it will only get worse over time.
Yeah, you
That's
you
so
should have
true.
broken up a long time ago, di ba? Parang
That
ganun
is
eh.
so
And that's not, it's not, it doesn't necessarily have to be someone's fault. Sometimes it's just, you're not compatible.
That's true.
Mismo. Tapos pinipilit pa rin nila, di ba? Pinipilit
Oo.
pa rin nila yung
And pag pinilit nyo, then that becomes your fault, right? That becomes your fault. So,
That
stage
Wala,
of
parang
60. Nalaman yun.
extend that grace, do the work for yourself, and then I promise you, you're going to find that a lot of your problems suddenly become solvable. Suddenly. Parang somebody comes up to you, tas asar ka na papunta pa lang, di ba? Parang, something's wrong here, and it's not even the problem that they presented. Extend that grace, guys.
I love it. I think that's something that, you know, we can use to close this conversation. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to us. I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope you guys had a lot of takeaways. If you guys are not aware yet, Spotify already has a comment space where you guys put in your comments about the episode. Please leave your comment. I'm gonna feature some of your comments if you get some of it. Really want to thank Chris here. Please check out their podcast, Sausawan Podcast, along with
YouTube and Spotify.
YouTube and Spotify, along with Comics Man, and of course, Pau, do we already have yung
Coming soon. It's
coming soon? It's still
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
still not out.
It's in the works. We are on the head down build kind of mode. So in the future,
Best of luck.
yeah. Thank you. Oh, anything to plug? I don't know. nothing. I'm not even on social media much anymore.
Yung cat mo.
I
I
love
wish
it.
you know I should probably make an Instagram for them para
You should.
magkatrabaho sila. Para
Oh, you
but yeah,
should.
maybe. Yeah. Pero yeah, siguro for me, pa-plug ko lang listen to In a Relationship. In a
Thank you.
Relationship.
In
Yeah.
a
In a
relationship.
relationship.
And listen to Sausawan Podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Maraming salamat ulit for spending 2 hours of your time with me. Maraming pong salamat. I'll see you guys again on the next episode. Bye!